The heavenly visitation, weapons of our warfare. I saw God clothing people with clothes labeled fear and righteousness respectively. He was revealing his covering as righteousness to the younger ones, and for the older ones, he presented himself as fear. Then I saw hearts that looked blue, grey and hard. They were being softened with golden oil. When Pastor prayed first about mercy, I saw a lion that was the size of a small elephant. It was made of a bright white light, with blue and green tinges on the mane. I had the impression of John 1 verse 3. This lion was with me in what appeared to be a wilderness, like a desert with a few trees and cacti sparsely scattered around. Then in the sky overhead, I saw a host of white bright beings in a cloud, Jesus in front with a giant white snake on his left. This snake looked like a white king cobra with patterns on its head and neck. I thought of a seraph. A ray of light came down from this bright cloud, and I was taken from that wilderness landscape into a green forest with thick trees. I had the impression of a cycle or season ending and mercy being shown or extended. Again, I saw the large lion walking in a clearing of the forest. When Pastor prayed that God should show us the purpose for which the mercy was to seraph or something to that effect, I heard, "I will take away the things that have caused you loss." I had the impression that he was restoring things that had been stolen or lost, an example being our responsibilities, not primarily gifts. I saw Enoch, dressed in a loose maroon or burgundy robe, and standing on one side of the hall. He was holding a shepherd's staff that was also made of light. I was reminded of something I had been told in 2018. You can only do his work when you are doing it with him, not just for him. I also had the impression of grace being released for us to be examples and stand at our watch posts. The shepherd's staff Enoch held could find water underground, almost like a divining rod. I saw myself walking alongside the lion and Enoch and leaning on the staff as if I needed it. At some point, I stopped seeing Enoch. Later, the lion asked me, "Why do you sin?" My answer was fear, though that is not what I would ordinarily have said. "What kind of fear?" he asked. And I replied, "All sorts." I had the impression that there is no fear in love, and perfect love casts out all fear, but I was not sure what he was driving at. I also wondered about all this philosophy, and it seemed he replied, "If you don't know, you won't know to love." Then he said, "Add to brotherly kindness, love." I had the impression of a sort of equation in the sand. Knowledge times self-control plus perseverance equals godliness. Godliness plus brotherly kindness equals love. I also had the impression of knowledge as an important base primer for the finishing coat, love. After then, it seemed the lion was in front of me, and I saw a white horse beside him. I heard, "What is a horse?" I knew a horse could speak of a movement, but I was not sure if that was so in this context. Then I heard, "Our horse is the truth." The truth is your horse. You ride prosperously because of truth. Do not sell your horse. Then I saw a man in purple and gold with a silver trumpet adorned with small bells hanging down from the side. And I later had the impression of David, but I wasn't sure if that was him. I heard a voice saying, "Praise is your weapon." Then I heard the lion's voice, paraphrasing, "Here is the difference when you actually talk to me in your praise. You see me better and you have more faith. If you see me as the king, then I will reveal myself strong on your behalf." I got that we would use praise as a form of intercession for people. I then saw a tower in a remote mountains area, and I had the impression that God was restoring watchmen to the walls. I had the impression that some of us had been in part disqualified from a certain level of intercessory responsibility for a season, and were given another chance to take the job. The job is still the same, only to go and do it. Then I saw Elijah like a white man in form, more like the spirit of Elijah, and he seemed to be signing declarations that people had made on the Lord's behalf. The declarations looked like antique legal documents. I had the impression that these spoke of God confirming His word with signs and wonders, and that the first sign is that people hear and believe the message. I had the understanding that with John the Baptist, the primary signs accompanying his ministry in the spirit and power of Elijah was that people returned to their God. I also had the impression of the humility of Elijah, something about him being like Moses. I had the impression that through us, God was stretching out His hands to a rebellious people who walk in a way that is not good, according to their own thoughts. Isaiah 65. I saw a pregnant woman holding up a torch in a grassy field at night. I had the impression that she was one of many, and that some of us had been given grace to bring forth life and light in different fields. Then I saw a vast field of golden wheat, which I felt was ripe, and only patches around me looked like they had been harvested. Some heads of the wheat had fallen to the ground, and I was aware that things had been wasted. I had the impression that the fallen ones spoke of people and territories that we had lost to the enemy in general, and that we had to work very hard to cover the rest of the ground. I also had the impression of the last chapter of Rick Joyner's book, The Harvest. I saw many altars of different metals, gold, silver, bronze, etc., on different raised platforms in a cemented turf. Some of them had objects of sacrifice, like slaughtered animals and some other things. A few were almost entirely covered with sacrifices. I saw a line of fire come down from the sky and hit the earth, and some of the altars started smoking, but the ones that had nothing or very little on them appeared to catch fire as if they were made of wood. I heard, "Who am I to you? Do not rob your God." Sister M.E., 8 May 2021. Copyright Gamoch.